Howdy, howdy, howdy. Once again, my friends, George Rodriguez, El Conservador, talking to you from San Antonio, deep in the heart of South Texas. And we've got a special guest with us today. We've got Mr. Dale Wilcox, Executive Director and General Counsel of the Immigration Reform Law Institute in Washington, D.C. And we wanted to get Dale on here to chat with us about what are the hot issues that they're seeing as far as the hot legal issues that they're seeing with regards to immigration. So welcome to the show, Dale. Thank you for taking time to be with us. Tell us, first of all, tell us a little bit about the Immigration Reform Law Institute. What is it?
Yeah, sure. We were founded in 1986, and we are principally a public interest legal education and advocacy law firm who is dedicated to achieving responsible immigration policies. In a nutshell, we advocate for the rule of law. We are dead set against illegal immigration, and we think immigration levels should be at a level that work in the best interest of all Americans. To do what we do, we principally are litigators. We spend a lot of time in court. We also have an investigations department, a very active Freedom of Information Act section in our investigations department, and we also work on regulation and legislation around the country that is pro-American.
Gotcha. All right. So, given the hot topic, and I mean really hot topic of immigration, particularly here in our South Texas area, what legal issues do you see as the hot issues right now that you guys are dealing with, and that you think need to be dealt with?
Sure. Immigration, as you know, was President Trump's number one issue that I think paved the way for him to the White House, and it stayed at the top of his list of priorities. As a result, the anti-borders, anti-American, public interest groups and whatnot have lost their minds. Trump derangement syndrome is prevailing nationally, and they have brought more than 400 plus lawsuits since Trump has taken office. 400 plus lawsuits.
My goodness.
That we are tracking and that we are getting involved in. And they range the gamut. Anytime Trump puts his hand on something, he's sued. So, for instance, there are 5 cases out there challenging the rescission of DACA. DACA was where President Obama, just by executive fiat, issued an amnesty to illegal aliens who were brought here by their parents as children. 5 lawsuits challenging that, and that case is currently in the United States Supreme Court. The briefing is just ending there, and oral argument should be soon, and we should have a decision on DACA by sometime, by at least June of 2020. There are at least 6 border wall lawsuits. The opposition, from environmentalist groups to even the House Democrats, have sued the president regarding his declaration of a national emergency to be able to use funds from the Department of Defense. Thankfully, we've won. As far as the border wall goes, we received stay from the Supreme Court in that case that released that money, because lower courts, specifically the courts in the Ninth Circuit out there in California, Arizona, and Oregon, and on, courts out there had ruled against the president. Well, we successfully got a stay in the Supreme Court. There are 8 plus cases regarding his asylum reform initiatives, specifically initiatives that require people coming across the border to apply for asylum in the first safe country they come to, which a lot of these people would be Mexico. That has actually been upheld, and in fact, we had a ruling from the Supreme Court a week ago staying a lower, once again suspending a national injunction by a lower court out there in the Ninth Circuit on this issue in favor of Trump. So we're very busy all around the country. There are sanctuary city cases, in fact, even there in Texas. You have people challenging SB 4, which was the nice new anti-sanctuary law that you have in Texas. Those cases are still moving forward. Just a week ago, Houston and Dallas Travis County and El Cenizo dropped out, but San Antonio, El Paso, and Austin are still pursuing with the case.
Yeah, really. I mean, we're sitting. I mean, I'm sitting right here in the middle of a community of a jurisdiction that claims they are not sanctuary, but they certainly behave that way.
Yeah, and we're seeing, sadly, a lot of big cities around the country, usually Democrat stronghold, advocating for these sanctuary policies or implementing these sanctuary policies. And my organization has directly challenged some of these policies. And in other cases where the Trump administration has been sued for pulling funding from these non-cooperative cities, we're helping to defend Trump's policies and the administration's policies in this regard. So very busy all over the country. Like I said, every time Trump moves this way or that way, he's being sued. But the good news is we might lose in the lower court, but we're finding success like we did in the travel ban, which was ultimately upheld in the Supreme Court. So it's taking time, but we're getting there.
Which of these cases or issues do you think has had the major impact so far on controlling and securing the border? Because, I mean, it just seems like the left keeps coming in waves at you on lawsuits over this issue, that issue. I mean, it just seems like it's continually. But is there one facet that you think has helped to stay, to at least begin to control the border a little bit better?
Yeah, I think ultimately the border wall will have a large impact on these cases, but because we're only talking about securing the funds, releasing the funds to build it, it's not there yet. So the border wall is not having the largest impact. Down the road, it will. I think Trump's regulations and executive orders that he has issued on asylum, who can apply for asylum, how can you apply for asylum, have made the biggest difference. And what we had been seeing was masses of people, and you saw this with the caravans, coming across the border. Word has gotten out, and you have these anti-American, anti-border groups who are coaching the people coming across, saying, say that you have a fear of persecution in your country, then you can apply for asylum. And what was happening was people were saying, I'm scared of being persecuted by my government. And then it's required under law that we give them a hearing or that we assess whether their credible fear is reasonable. And then they can appeal that decision. So then they get a court date, and then they're sent on their way into the interior. And guess what? They don't show up for their court date. They're never heard from again. So all those people coming across the border were doing this, and we're talking thousands. In May, we had 144,000.
Oh my gosh!
144,000 people. Who were found to be inadmissible at the border.
Oh my gosh!
Border Patrol.
In 1 month.
We cannot sustain this. I mean, it's been in the multiplied thousands all year. We're looking at, by the end of the year, over 1 million plus. So what was happening was they were just being released to await their court date. Well, Trump instituted a new rule now that you have to first apply for asylum in the first safe country that you come to. So that would be Mexico. Obviously, they're all traversing through Mexico. Well, Mexico is a party to certain conventions on torture and persecution and whatnot, refugees, and so Trump has instituted this order, and that order was upheld by the Supreme Court here recently, or at least the lower court's injunction was stayed until the Supreme Court can look at the merits of the case, which is an indication how they probably will rule. Well, that has substantially cut down on the numbers of people just being released into the interior.
That's amazing. I when I worked in the Reagan administration, I remember, growing up in South Texas, I remember the days when people used to run away from the Border Patrol. Much to my dismay, nowadays they just walk up to the Border Patrol and introduce themselves. And it's not just one or two. It's several of them, dozens of them, 20, 100 of them. It's amazing. So and at this point, do you think that we are winning the war against illegal immigration? I mean, is there a silver lining? I would like to think that there is, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think we are. And I think Trump's policies, and like I said earlier, the border wall will make a big dent in the numbers. And in fact, the numbers just came out for August, and 64,000 were found inadmissible. In July, 82,000. So in May it was 144,000, and now in July it went to 82, and now in August. And usually there's an increase. Traditionally, there's an increase in July and August because the weather's so good. And there's always been a bump up, but we're seeing a decline, and it's a result of the policies the president has implemented. So it is making a difference. The numbers are declining. We're getting control of the southern border. And there's a lot still to be done, and the wall actually has to be built, which will further reinforce, attempted crossings, make it more difficult. But we are winning this war.
Excellent. Dale, tell the folks how they can follow up and read more about the Immigration Reform Law Institute in D.C. and how they can support you guys.
Yeah, sure. You can find our website at www.irli.org, irli.org, and we're on Twitter at IRLI Law, and the acronym for our name is pronounced IRLI, so it's at IRLI Law. Gotcha.
Dale, thank you very, very much for being on our show, and of course, thank you very much for fighting for our nation, for the sovereignty of our nation. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me.